This is Dimitri Lascaris reporting from the Handala, the flagship vessel of the 2023 Gaza Freedom Flotilla, and we are en route from Gothenburg, Sweden to Oslo, Norway. And I'm here today with one of the passengers on the vessel, Jonas Hjelm-Smith. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, and thank everyone for watching.
And can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and how you ended up on this vessel?
I'm from the northern town of Umeå in Sweden, and that's where I started getting involved with political activism around 7 or 8 years ago. And so I've lived in Gothenburg for about 4 or 5 years now. I work as a dental technician. So I moved down here for a job, and I've continued my political activism here. And for around a year now, I've done activism specifically for the freedom of Palestine.
And what has motivated you to come on this vessel on this particular journey?
Well, I know enough about Gaza, that I know the kind of suffering that people are experiencing there, and I have this sense of urge that I have to do something with my time that helps people, and I want to help people, and so it's very important that we all come together and help the people of Palestine, specifically the people in Gaza as well.
And I understand you're a member of the Swedish Communist Party, is that right?
That's true, yeah.
And what is the position of the Swedish Communist Party with respect to the Palestinian cause, and specifically the question of BDS?
The Communist Party in Sweden, we are the strongest supporters of Palestine and of all the other parties in Sweden, at least of all the other parties that have any sort of significance. There was recently, for example, a conference in Malmö where about 20,000 Palestinians gathered for an international meeting. All kinds of people from all over Europe came to this conference, and 3 major Swedish parties were supposed to give speeches at this meeting: the Left Party, the Social Democrats, and the Green Party in Sweden, or the Miljöpartiet, which is a Miljö Party. And all of those 3 speakers, they retracted their planned speeches, or what do you call it? They cancelled their participation because there was rumors that one of the leading people of the conference had some kind of ties to Hamas, and so these 3 Swedish parties, major Swedish parties, they felt they started shaking in their boots, and they chickened out and they canceled their participation, which is sad because we in the Communist Party, we would not do that. We at this particular conference, we didn't send a speaker, unfortunately, but we spent some time supporting the Palestinian politicians in Sweden that were being harassed and attacked in the media because of this event, what happened at this event. So we did spend time and energy to support the Palestinians in this specific moment where they were being attacked by the Swedish press and all of these major parties pulling out, and so we're 100% in support of Palestine, no matter what.
And it's my understanding that the Swedish government's position with respect to the Ukraine war is it supports the delivery of heavy weapons to the Ukrainian military. And I'm interested to know your thoughts on whether its position with respect, in your opinion, the Swedish government's position with respect to Ukraine can be reconciled with its position regarding the Palestinian people.
No, I mean, the Swedish government has sent a lot of money and weapons to Ukraine, and we in the Communist Party, we've always been criticized for being against that, which is crazy because we're only against it because we're for peace. We don't want to proliferate the spreading of arms and weapons throughout the world, specifically in Ukraine. And I mean, yeah, a lot of people have drawn parallels to this situation in Ukraine and Palestine, of course, because in Palestine, the Zionists are the oppressors and aggressors, and the ones that are overwhelmingly using violence against defenseless people. And so, but our government seemingly doesn't have any problem supporting the Zionists in Israel. They're allowed to have offices here. They have one of their arms manufacturers, Elbit, has an office in Gothenburg, for example, which, by the way, we are with some other activists outside the Communist Party were planning to have an act of protests outside those Israeli arms offices in Gothenburg. But of course, yeah, we criticized the delivery of arms. I mean, we were very disappointed when we were left one of the few only parties left in Sweden that were against arms deliveries to Ukraine. For example, the Left Party, they recently, the last delivery, they sent some armored, what do you call them, not tanks, but like armored vehicles, which are pretty heavy, they have pretty heavy guns. I mean, we were criticizing from the very first arms deliveries that even the Left Party supported, for example, the deliveries of the Swedish-made anti-tank weapons that are what is it, NLAW, I think, which is made in, I think it made in UK, but it's a Swedish design, I think, or something like that. Or there were some other anti-tank weapons that were sent as well. And our newspaper, which is called Proletarian, which is the Proletarian, we had an article where we found evidence that these Swedish anti-tank weapons were being used by and trained by the infamous Azov battalion, the Nazi battalion in the Ukraine. They were putting out videos and showing how to use the Swedish arms and stuff like that. So we're extremely disappointed that all of these other major parties in Sweden, including and of course the central government, has sent money and arms to arm the most extreme right-wing people that are armed and dangerous and have military experience in the world today. Which yeah.
And I take it the Swedish government is not sending any weapons to the Palestinians to
yeah,
to fight against.
of course, and yeah, I mean, which is very ironic, I think. Yeah.
So I understand you're not only a Swedish citizen, you're also a citizen of the United States. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And you lived in Arizona during your teens for 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, I went to high school.
Right. And just and this is a very big question. I'm just sort of summarily, in brief terms, how would you compare your experiences of living in the United States with what it's like living in Sweden today?
I mean, overall, I would say Sweden is a nicer place to live. I mean, there's a little bit more solidarity between people and stuff like that. You can see in America, for example. I mean, I did move there 2007, and right before the 2008 financial crisis. I had to give that some thought, because just only like 1 or 2 years after I moved there, I saw homeless people everywhere. Like 20-30% of all the homes in my area were for sale, all at the same time. And yeah, at every intersection, under every bridge, there was homeless people asking for money, and it was a very sad sight. And I think that, of course, did affect my view of America, because these people were not taken care of. And of course, it's also very important to know that if you visit America and you see all these homeless people, it's important to know that most of them they don't even live on the street. They live in their cars, so you can't see all the homeless people because they're sleeping in their cars. And a majority of them also work, but they don't have homes, even if they have jobs. I mean, that kind of a terrible situation is largely avoided here in Sweden, which is good, because if you have a job here, generally you're supposed to be able to get a home at least.
Right.
Yeah, so the situation is slightly better here, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking to us today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you. And this is Dimitri Lascaris reporting from the Handala. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching The Real News Network, where we lift up the voices, stories, and struggles that you care about most. And we need your help to keep doing this work, so please tap your screen now, subscribe, and donate to The Real News Network. Solidarity forever.